Thank you to those that are already joining. We'll just give it a few minutes before we get started. Just going to take a minute or two to let everyone in correctly so they can speak in this session. So just give me a minute or two and then we'll get started. Thank you for those that have already joined. Okay, I'm expecting a few more people to join. We'll just give it 1 minute and then we'll get started. Okay, conscious that everyone's joined on time. We're 3 minutes past. I will keep an eye on those that are starting to attend and let them in shortly. So thank you. Firstly, this is the Helix webinar series, and part of that we do RC Expert session. So for today, it's TSCO moving to BHCO. So forgive me, I have actually made an incorrect bit in the title. What we're going to be doing today is running the session, which is very much centric to customers. We've had a couple of questions that have come into the chat on the Helix webinar page. We will go through those questions first, and I can see, Jim, that you've joined, and Peter, the questions that came from yourself, we will be sharing. And then the other thing is just to mention, it's important that a lot of customers have asked me to start recording these sessions. And I would like to share this with everyone. So I just want you to take a few minutes to read this disclaimer, and I'm hoping that you should have got that yesterday in the reminder email. We will be putting it onto BMC communities. We won't be putting it onto YouTube, but we will be sharing it after this event with the link. So if anyone does have a problem with sharing their name, feel free to drop off and come back in and return with a different name. And do let me know if there's any issues. So without further ado, I would like to obviously introduce myself. My name is Samantha Amond. I work for BMC Software as a program manager. Some of you have probably recognized my name and joined various sessions that we've been doing, whether it's a webinar or Ask the Expert session. The role is to help customers with self-solve. Some of it will be navigating around the BMC community, webinars that are targeted to specific technical questions or challenges. And then back end of last year, we brought in the Ask the Expert sessions, which is a very similar format to a customer advisory board, where it gives you the opportunity to share your questions to the panelists that we have today, and also help you with any potential challenges that you might be facing. So this is very much your session. I would ask is obviously be aware of your corporate policies and be mindful there's other customers on here and also partners. So anything you do share, you must be willing to and not go against your company policy. So without further ado, let me introduce my main host, Baufak, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Baufak Do. I've been working at BMC since 2011. I am a senior technical support analyst for the capacity optimization / continuous optimization product. Yeah, so we in the announcements for this session, we had 2 questions that were asked by customers. So let me repeat them. So first, Jim Avery asked about optimizer rules and regular expressions. And so is that the answer, Ashley? Yes. So he asked about how to write regular expression for optimizer rules, and Dima has already given an answer in the post itself. Dima, do you want to repeat them here?
So I've provided a couple of links to some of the resources that I use for regular expressions, the hyperlinks.
Okay, and so it's in the post itself. So Jim, I'm sorry, Peter.
Peter, yeah.
Peter, I made a mistake. Peter, you should have received that already. And then Jim, the real Jim, asked about the thresholds, and for that part, we'll answer that question now. So the question was during questions following Balfac's webinar on setting up business service fee last week, it was briefly mentioned that you could somehow use tags to customize optimizer threshold for groups of servers or other objects. Please, can we explore whether it's possible to apply custom thresholds, for example, to servers having a specific tag?
So I've just unmuted Jim. Do you want to just read it out, Jim, and work with Balfac? Hello, Jim.
That's Peter, actually, we're hearing.
And Peter, I've got, okay, Jim's also unmuted
I wasn't
as well.
expecting to talk. I think that was Jim's question.
That one was Jim's question, yes. Jim's off of mute as well, and we'll come back to you, Peter, if you've got anything further. Can you hear us, Jim? Don't know if maybe he can't actually speak. So Balfac, is there someone on our team that could answer his question?
So Samantha, I can answer that question actually. So when you create a tag in the optimizer thresholds, at that time, when you create a tag, you can specify a tag value. So let's say that you have a couple of servers. Let's say you have server 1 to server 5, and let's say they are tagged with tag called NBS. So if you select that tag called NBS when you create a optimizer threshold, so I will say for the tag called NBS, have this threshold CPU utilization maybe 90% as a threshold, rather than the default threshold of 80%, right? So when I use that tag as part of the process of defining the threshold, that overridden threshold will be applied to the group of servers that has a tag called NBS. So in this way, you can override the default thresholds that are metric specific, and then you override them to a group of servers based on a specific tag. So so it's pretty much part of the overall process when you create a threshold.
Thank you, Mahesh. Jim, does that answer your question? Can you hear us? I don't know if Jim's having problems with audio. Peter, are you in the same office as him, or is he in a different office? Because I don't know if you've got a way of reaching Jim. Okay. Sorry, you can't hear me. Okay. I'll just check, Mahesh, if that has answered Jim's question for a moment. And Peter, obviously, because you did come off of mute earlier, was your response that you got from Dima, did that answer everything you needed while we've got Dima on the call as well? Can you hear us, Peter?
I muted him earlier. Can you unmute him again?
Yeah, you should be able to. Let me just try again. Ask to unmute. Hopefully you may be able to.
Hello.
Hello, Peter.
Hello.
Yeah.
No, I got Dima's response with lots of links. I think I've just got some studying to do. I think that's what it comes down to. But yeah, the response I got from Dima was fine. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, and then what I will do with Jim's, because he's obviously having a problem getting the responses back to us, he's having to do it through the chat. I'll make sure everything that's discussed today will be put into a blog post and responded to, and we'll make sure we reply to Jim's actually on the community post as well. I have seen that Jim's put something, Mahesh, she's just said, I can't see how to set up optimizer threshold based on a tag. Is that something that you can follow up on his question? Mahesh?
Yeah, I can respond to his question in the community's post as well.
Okay, so Jim, we'll get yours answered. I'm hoping you can still hear us. Mahesh will answer that in the community post because it's already there. Thanks, he said. Okay, great. So I think Peter and Jim, that covers your questions. So Peter, if you've got anything further, we'll continue in the post. The same with Jim. If we go into the Q&A section, Balfac, we've got a couple of questions from Candace. If you want to read those out, and Candace, I will put you into the option of being able to speak. So if you'd like to say hello and talk to us, because I'm quite conscious that BMC people, although we can talk, it'd be nice to hear everyone's voice. Can you hear us okay, Candace?
Yes, I can hear you fine. Thank you.
Hello. So you have
Hello.
two questions that I can see in there. I don't know if you want to read them out, and then we can see from the team who can answer them, and then we'll answer them live after as well with an answer, just so we can capture the responses.
Okay, I just wanted to say that I'm particularly interested in any changes you have to forecasting with the Helix tool. Right now I work for SSA, and we have TSCO or TSCO. And some of the things, as I work with the tool that would be helpful would be able to drill down into the charts, as you hover over different values to be able to see the date, and the data point. So I'm wondering if that's a feature that's coming. Also, when I find myself copying over and tweaking different forecast models and having to add in yearly events, I would like to have the ability to copy over the events and not to have to recreate them every time in each model. So I'm wondering if that's a change that I'll see, or if there's more information. Maybe I'm not utilizing that the right way right now. Also, I'm hoping to see a time comparison feature. While I know with analysis right now, there is a time comparison feature, but it puts the two different time periods into the same chart. I want to see that side by side. And I'm hoping to see a percentage change from, whatever the time period is, say from month to month, say the value, on the particular metric grew or decreased by whatever percentage. So I'm wondering if those are features that are coming or.
All right, so beyond the two questions that you have already written, I also heard about doing a side-by-side comparison feature as opposed to one on top of the other. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And then I think you also have another one, another question after that, but I didn't understand or follow.
Everything that I've asked, I've written in the Q&A.
Yeah, we've got the two questions. So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Balfac, that may be some questions for Komal. Komal, is this something that you could, because it's features?
Yeah. Hey, hi, I am Komal Padmawar. I'm product manager for Helix Continuous Optimization. So in BHCO, as you know, that the comparison that you talked about, the day comparison, so yesterday to today, or last week to this week, that is already there. But as you said, it is in a one chart. It is not side-by-side comparison. So we understood that we are asking just comparison. So that is there, but side-by-side chart is not there.
Right now, that's kind of confusing, to look at the data that way. So I was just hoping to hear that with Helix, that maybe that's a change that's coming.
So,
but I mean, yeah, go ahead, Yoram.
No, so you were asking in general questions about seeing forecasts and functionality about seeing different data points and hovering over. So in BHCO, we use Helix dashboards. And in the Helix dashboards, you're going to have a lot more options to show different graphs, to do forecasting, to do comparison. So I would, I would strongly encourage you to look at that, because things like you're saying you want to maybe see the actual values from the charts and have the ability to hover over and see actual values and be able to play around and have more flexibility with the charts. You're going to get all that functionality when you use Helix dashboards.
So Candace, in Helix continuous optimization, in addition to the charts that you already see in analysis, forecast, and views, there's this component called Helix dashboard, and that's what Yaron's referring to. And Helix dashboard can show you any data that you have in the product in HCO. Does that answer your question?
And an interesting point, thanks, Balfak. And really interesting point about that is that Helix dashboards is actually built on top of Grafana, which is arguably one of the best reporting and dashboarding tool around today. So you get all of the functionality for data visualization and comparison and time filtering and all that good stuff. You get that on top of all the data that you have in BHCO. And if to do a shameless plug right here, we're actually going to be doing a roadmap session. Sam is arranging a roadmap session where we're going to be talking about all of this and all the new functionality that's in BHCO and what a migration would mean for all of our customers when migrating to BHCO. And Helix dashboards and Grafana and how that works is actually going to be there's going to be a whole section in that session. So look out for that session. Sam's going to send out an invite. Komal and I are going to be presenting there. We're going to also have a demo. So I encourage you to join that one as well.
And that will be 12th of July, Candace. I'm going to, on the thank you email after we finish this meeting today, I will send out the link to our Helix webinar page, and I'm going to be actually setting that up for today, and it will be on the 12th of July. Okay.
Did that answer your question, Candace?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. And Sam, I see we have Jim.
We do,
Jim
and then we'll
Krager,
go back to Jeff. There's another question. So Jim, do you want to unmute yourself? I can see your hand is up. Hello, can you hear us?
Jim Krager.
Yeah, I've got, he's unmuted. I'm not sure if he can hear us. Jim? He's got permission to talk. We'll come, Jim's gone back on mute. Jim, can you hear us okay? I don't know if you can unmute yourself again. We can come back to you if not, if you'd like to ask a question, or do you want to put it into the chat post first, and then we can come to you live. I don't know if you're having problems also with audio. I'm just going to try one more time, Balfak and Yaron, to see if I can unmute him. Jim, can you hear us? Okay, there's a bit of deathly silence there. Okay, we'll move into the Q&A section. So Jeff Sanderson's asked a question. I can see, Michael, you're responding to it. So Michael Pascoe, it'd be great for you to introduce yourself and maybe read out Jeff's question, and we can do that live. Do you want to speak, Michael? Can you hear us, Michael Pascoe?
Michael,
Hello.
so to answer your question, this is Jeff. To answer your question, WCM, I mean workload change manager. I know it's still available in the regular control M, but I don't know what they call it now. You just go into the URL and you go into planning domain. So
yeah, so that isn't a product that I'm familiar with. So my name's Mike Pasca. I'm in technical support for the True Site Capacity Optimization, Helix Capacity Optimization product. So that isn't a feature that I'm familiar with. We can try to figure out another resource as far as who can answer that question. But I don't think we'd be able to answer that here.
okay.
So I'm guessing, Michael, correct me if I'm wrong, we can take that away as a follow-up, yeah?
Yeah, we
With
need
the
to get
Jeff's, okay.
with the appropriate product
I mean,
resources.
just a little context, you know, I mean, Workload Change Manager allows the applications to create and modify their own workspaces and submit them and check them in. At least we do that in non-production. In production, they just submit the workspace and then we review them before they get checked in. So this allows applications or other people besides our operators and technical staff to do changes to their folders and jobs and everything, their control M entities. So we heavily use that. And so if it's not available, that's kind of like a showstopper for us. So just little context. So, okay, thank you.
We will follow up, Jeff, and we'll get the response. I'll probably add it later at a later point into the Q&A section that we put on to communities, but we'll go back and get an answer directly for you. It may take a bit of time and I'll work with Balfac and the team to get that for you. And if we've got any further questions, we'll let you know. I think I will have your follow-up email. No worries. Just back to Jim, I don't know if you're still having problems with your audio. If you want to type your question into the Q&A and we'll get the team to answer it. And if at any point you are able to speak, because I can see you're unmuted, but nothing coming up. So there's obviously a problem with the audio. Feel free if you want to join and drop off and come back in again. That might be an option, unless you just want to write your question. Okay, I think we've covered all the questions. I just need Komal and Yaron, someone to respond back to the one that we've already responded to for Candace. So if you can just have a look at that question about the forecasting, if we can put that into the Q&A, that would be great.
Jim has put a question in the Q&A.
Ah, great. Okay, thanks, Jim. Okay, so the question is, what can we do about upgrading to Helix?
No,
I think
without.
Yaron, sorry, without Helix. I think that would be a good conversation for either Yaron or Komal to respond. I don't know who wants to take this one, because I know that the topic of our discussion about the value of migrating came up. Maybe this is one you can also answer.
So I'm not sure I understand the question, because the question is, what can I do without upgrading to Helix? So what can you do with TSCO without upgrading to BHCO? Because I'm not sure I understand the question. Can anybody help me out here?
So Jim, if you want to,
I think that's the meaning of it. That if I don't want to upgrade, then yeah.
He said yes. The response back, we're on live chat at the moment, Yaron. So yeah, his response is yes. So what can he do with the current product without having to upgrade?
Well, the current product, it's not the current product. It's a previous product, TSCO, True Site Capacity Optimization, is a very good, and I know that a lot of the people on here today will attest to this. It's a very good capacity management tool. But just like any other technology, capacity management is evolving, and we've put all our effort in redesigning TSCO into a containerized architecture, making it available for both on-prem deployment and SaaS deployment. So you have a choice whether you want it on-prem or SaaS. We've added a lot of functionality, and just to call out a few, one is the use of Helix dashboards, which is Grafana, which gives you a lot more options for reporting and for dashboards. We've added new predictive algorithms. We've added a whole theme and a product called Predictive Service Management, which allows you to answer business questions such as, how is a business event going to affect my resource utilization and my capacity? So you could have a business event like a promotion or a sale or an event, or I know a lot of us have been affected by COVID. So to be able to answer things like, how is a business driver, so a key KPI on the business side, how is that going to affect my resource utilization? We've all put that into BHCO, and the reason why we were able to do that is that we're now in a single platform. And one of the important services that we have from the platform is AI and machine learning algorithms. So we use all that power of artificial intelligence and machine learning in BHCO. So you can still, with TSCO, you can do basic capacity management. But if you want to go into the future, into things like SRE management, service management, predictive services, and having better visualization, more modern ability for reporting and dashboarding, having the ability to have a SaaS product, so you don't have to maintain the infrastructure for capacity planning on-prem. You can use it as a SaaS product. You can do all that with BHCO. I hope that answers the question. Plus, it's important to note that TSCO, True Site Capacity Optimization, is actually going into limited support on the 31st of March of 2024. So that's March of next year. And we currently fully support BHCO, so Helix Continuous Optimization, and that's the future for us for capacity management.
Thank you, Yaron. Does that answer your question, Jim, and team? Does anyone else have any questions around the futures? Because we know that may have been a topic that would come up about the migration path. The same with Jim. Does that respond to everything that you needed, Jim Krager? I don't know if you want to type into the questions.
Candace,
yes.
Here, Jim and I work together.
Hello.
Hi. In terms of migration, when migrating the database, we've dealt with loading back data with the ETL, deciding we wanted, additional years. And, that has always a long process. Is there any change with that process? Is there anything, easier in loading back data? Say we were to, go to Helix and decided we wanted additional years of back data. Is there any change in that process?
When you're loading the back data, is it from CSV files or from another database? How do you load the back data?
From Visualizer, from another database.
Okay.
So that is supported now in BHCO. You can have a historical data loaded into BHCO.
But has it changed?
No, nothing changed. Nothing changed. Same CSV based. If you have CSV based extractor or database extractor, you can use both options.
But Candace, you're describing that it takes a long time. Is that the challenge you're describing?
Right. If there's a faster option processor, we have the option where we will create a additional ETL and schedule it to run hourly. But that's still, when you're trying to backload, a year or years of data, that's still a pretty long process. Just wondering if there's any change to that.
Right now we have added the same functionality. In a process when we are rewriting it, if some enhancement might have already done, if there were chances, but we don't have any performance numbers at the moment for that particular ETL. So,
but we have put in performance enhancements in the tool itself. I mean, one of the advantages of re-engineering a product, which is what we did. So we started from the ground up with BHCO and built it in a containerized environment using modern technology. And one of the upshots of that is obviously performance enhancements. Now, specifically to the data that you want to load, we can just do a test, Candace, and I would I'd recommend that maybe we can, when we start talking actively about this, then we can definitely explore that as well. Because we do see performance enhancements in BHCO versus TSCO.
I think that we ran into the restriction, and I can't remember the exact size. I'm sorry, am I still being heard?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Of can't remember, it was like 2 gigabytes. I forget exactly. That there's a limitation on size on how much data can flow, at a time when we run the ETL. Has that changed?
Komal, do you know anything about this? I'm just not.
No. So we have to look into the data if there is any.
Yeah, and this is Mike Pasca talk. So we can do, is this something you're doing regularly, which is historic data loads, or is this just you're refreshing, you're trying to pull in a new set of data for to get it into TSCO and then it stays there?
So it's not something we're doing regularly. This was a past issue we had, but and thinking in terms of going to, upgrading to this new product, that would be a time that we would probably want to think about, adding additional, and that gets into other things where we've had restrictions from Oracle and how much back data we can use. And so, just wondering if there's an easier method. No, it's not a regular thing.
Okay. Yeah, no, I would say, I think I follow along. As far as the data loads, if you look at BHCO for somebody who's used TSCO, it looks very much like it, right? Even though the back end is very different, the front end has been made to look and feel the same. And so that means the functionality, the way that you load data is going to be the same. In relation to a migration from TSCO to BHCO, there's a process that's actually going to take the data out of your TSCO environment and import it into BHCO. So your historic data that exists in TSCO is going to exist in BHCO as well. It's going to move from the old environment to the new environment via a migration process. And then as far as future historic recoveries go, I would say that in general, it's still, it's all still ETL based. And in general, the data load process works very similarly. So there are certainly still scalability considerations as far as the ETLs. And usually what you would say is you would import the data over, you'd run the ETL in series, or it's, importing a period of time iteratively until you filled in your historic data gaps. Generally, I wouldn't expect that to take an inordinate amount of time, but it depends on how much data you're importing. Where you were talking about billions of rows of data, that is going to take a bit of time to run. And you are right that the ETLs, they need to manage data in smaller chunks.
Okay, when you talk about the migration of data and we have multiple visualizer databases, and I think Michael Pasca, you're kind of somewhat familiar with our setup. There was a time when we had a yearly database, and upgraded that SQL database every year on the visualizer side. So I'm wondering, if we were to do migration, could we take multiple instances,
The migration, yeah, the migration I'm talking about is from TSCO to BHCO. So I think your visualizer database, are you thinking in terms of, this is for the mainframe, are we talking here?
Yeah.
Still, yeah. So the migrations we have right now are the migrations in relation to TSCO, your existing data, into BHCO. So it'll be data already there. I think what you're talking about is there's still the mainframe product, which is still using the visualizer database backend. I don't know the migration, what the plans are on that side. I think, it's still all the same, but we don't have mainframe resources on this call. But yeah, none of there wouldn't be, as far as I know, any changes in relation to the visualizer database.
Okay. Thank you.
So we can forward the portions of the mainframe, the visualizer DB, to the appropriate resources and get back to you on that.
Okay, thank you.
Before we move on to the next question, Candace, have you got anything further? Because we've got another one in the chat.
I'm fine. I'll stop monopolizing the conversation.
No, listen, it's your time until other people ask questions. If there's any other questions you think of, please do. And obviously, because Jim can't speak, if there's anything that he's got, then put them in the chat and we'll bring them back up. Okay, so we'll move on to James. Balfat, do you want to read the question that's come into the Q&A?
Yes, so James Cristofero asks, how can we get steady response time from ACO? You have a report of slow response time, which has been a repetitive issue. James, could you elaborate on that question? What do you mean by the steady response time? Do you mean like the when you access the Helix continuous optimization interface, it is slow from time to time, or is it slow all the time?
Slow from time to time. We basically had issues with the user interface. And we were told by BMC that that problem is being addressed. And then again, we've had that issue that we reported again this morning.
All right.
No, slow as molasses.
Okay.
So our facility is now located in the Midwest. And so the latency between that and Oracle East is somewhat of an issue.
Okay. So let me see.
Yeah, so I will pitch in and then maybe Joran can add more. So yeah, we are aware about those issues, right, James? So we are constantly getting feedback from you, from different other customers. So just trust me, we are actively working on it. We are facing a couple of infrastructure related challenges. So as you know, it's a platform, multiple different teams are involved. So we have to work together to solve these problems. So that's why it is taking a little late, a little while to fix those problems, but we are finding finding solutions and working on it. That's the top priority for us.
So James, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, just a quick question about that. James, is this in production? On your production environment or your development environment?
Production.
In production. Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Belfast.
Thank you.
And we've made recommendations about Oracle supports Megaport, but your development team and your hosting team says, well, we don't support Megaport.
Yeah, I think that's, but I think that's more around the fact that we actually believe we know what the issue is right now. And we're addressing it at the source. So it's probably not a communication issue. It's like Komal said, it's more on the infrastructure side. And we are working with OCI, the hosting company, and with some of our partners to address this. And I know there has been a significant improvement, and I'm glad that you're mentioning this, since I just literally now, as we speak, I'm conversing with our R&D team to make sure that they look at it right now as you reported the issue.
Yeah, and can I just ask, is it right now, like you've got slow response time in your environment right now, or was it earlier today?
Earlier today, basically as we had this call, I got an instant message from one of my team members saying that they were having issues. They broke their connection and was reestablished, and performance was better.
Okay.
He posted at 10:18 that Eastern time that it was slow. I responded back at 10 minutes later, and he said no. So maybe the connection was stale, or maybe I had to get a different connection.
Yeah, because I definitely. Please.
So you mentioned 10 a.m.
1018, I believe.
1018, okay. Okay, thank you, that's helpful.
Yeah, I think this is worth looking at as far as breaking down whether performance. So looking at the performance on our side, and then looking at, so were others experiencing that on your side, or was it a one-off? So I'm the environment right now, the data center you're in, for me at least, is quite responsive. So right now everything seems great. I think we'll have to look back and we can look and see if there was anything earlier this morning. As far as the performance problems go, I would say my experience over the last several weeks has been that the environment has always been responsive for me, and we haven't been getting reports of concerns, of performance concerns, like, as we had been in the, going back, last month. And a bunch of things have been done on the back end to significantly improve the performance of the data center where you reside. And I'm seeing, for my experiences, that I'm seeing those results every time I use the product in that data center. So I don't think generically we're aware of, you shouldn't, like, slow as molasses, you should not be experiencing that at that point. If you're experiencing that, especially recurring, I would say contact support with a case and say, who it is, what they're doing, and we'll investigate each of those, because you shouldn't be experiencing that problem. Although we are aware of, there are still performance improvements going on in the environment, and the expectation is that over time, it's going to become even more responsive, but you should be experiencing generally good response times when you use it.
So James, it looks like, as Mike said, you can continue to give us the feedback through the support cases, and then tell us exactly the user and the actions that they did. That way we can focus our search in the logs. But overall, some of the issues that some of the infrastructure issues that are related to the slowness and the performance that you're experiencing seems to be addressed, and the rest we're working on it actively. Is there anything else you would like to share, James?
That's it for now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Balfac, we have had one question that's been already answered by Komal. I just want to read that back because others may have a follow-up question. So Debbie Sheets has asked a question around when you refer to infrastructure in the cloud environment that's being discussed. Komal, I know you responded to it, and obviously, Dima, you've also put some follow-up as well. So do you want to just elaborate a little bit more, Komal, in case we've got other customers that will interest?
Yeah, sure. So when we refer infrastructure, so we use whenever, we have two types of cloud right now, AWS and OCI. So you use a lot of native services. For example, Elasticsearch service and Kubernetes service and all that. So we need to configure that. So when I'm saying infrastructure, those are the elements and the data stores and the Kafka services that we are using. I'm referring to them.
Thank you, Komal. Debbie, was there anything else? I know that you said thank you for clarifying. Was there any other questions that you had?
No, it was just the previous discussion. It didn't come out what it was about, and I was trying to absorb what was there, and I wasn't sure what it was about. And as the discussion continued, it started to become more clear what infrastructure meant. So I'm good. I just wanted to, again, understand what the previous discussion was about.
No worries. Any questions are good.
Okay. So we don't have any other questions in the chat. Is there anyone that has any further questions? Obviously, you've probably got a gist of our team and panel that we've got on today. It's a mixture of product management, product development, support, and solutions engineering. If you've got any questions, we've got 15 minutes left before the session finishes. If you want to put those into the Q&A or put your hand up, we'll obviously stay on here for a few more minutes. If there isn't anything further, then we'll finish the session. While everyone's having a think, just as a reminder for the webinar pages, for those that have been joining some of these sessions regularly, Everything is hosted from our Connect with Helix webinar page. I am actually going to just put it onto my bigger screen so you can see it. Just to remind you where you can capture all of this content. And I will do follow-up emails as well, so you get to see where this all is. Just trying to do a share screen. Okay, so hopefully everyone can see my screen. So any sessions that we're going to be hosting, because I'm working with BMC support, I'm also working with product management, development, various different teams within BMC. If there's any other sessions that you will feel is beneficial, less personalized for one company, but if it's going to be beneficial for other customers, I would really appreciate hearing your feedback. We are tracking these through the survey that will come out post-event, and in the email you will receive the recording, a link and a reminder where this webinar page is. And very shortly I will be putting down the session that's started to come. We're going to have a few in July. I add on this sometimes a couple of times a week. So if you want to follow this webinar page, I will be sharing that. So don't worry about taking down these details right now. And then we also have the RC Expert sessions, which you can track from both of those places. So from the webinar page, and then also if you click the top link, it will take you to the sessions. Any post events are also captured at the bottom. So these are the ones that are coming up. Tomorrow we have another session. And then we have one at the end of June. So if you're looking after multiple products, do keep a lookout. This is a page for all of the BMC products. We are starting to look at mainframe products as well. So again, if you're covering any mainframe or Control M, we're gradually going to be sharing some sessions shortly with those. But everything's here. And now we're obviously recording the sessions. The recordings will be on these pages as well. So does anyone have any questions on generic stuff? I'm just going to check the Q&A if there's anything else. I don't think we've got anything else.
So,
sorry, go on, Balfac.
Sorry, I just wanted to add on to what Samantha said. While we don't have any questions right now, if you have some extra time while you're not asking us questions through cases, I would invite you to come to the community site and just look at the recent activity and the feed tabs, because anytime that a KA is updated, you will see it show up in the recent activity, such as this one here or this one here. And then whenever Samantha posts a blog, it should also come up in recent activity. And so again, if you have extra time and you're not opening cases with us, you can always come here for more information, ideas, and then you can also ask the community for questions that may have not been answered by support, or just general sharing of your ideas.
Thank you, Balfac. That's some really good points. And if anyone is struggling with communities, and there's a few of you, I am actually offering out sessions. I've been doing them for a few customers that have wanted to join the community. It is getting a lot more active. We are working a lot with the internal champions to get more content on there for you. So I'd be happy to show you how to set up a profile and follow certain topics, how to go through the product groups as well, and just get some better information out of those working sessions and finding the events that you need. So do reach out to me personally. You can drop either a message via my BMC community contact profile, or you can do it via LinkedIn, or you can also do it through my email that you would have got for this session today.
We do have a new question.
Yes, I did see that one for data migration. Do you want to read William's out? And William, we've kind of discussed about migration stuff, which is coming up in July. We are going to be doing a session around migration and the value of going from TSCO to BHCO, but I don't know if it's exactly the same content. Do you want to maybe ask your question live? I don't know if you can talk. I've just given you access because you did come in late. I've just allowed you to get
there
audio.
We go.
Hello.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, I can wait. It's not urgent. So why don't we wait until we address this in general?
We have some extra time here, so you can go ahead and just ask a question in general.
Well, So currently we are, we have a TSCO implementation, and it's, with looking at HCO on the horizon, that obviously will be one of the points of discussion. Will be how much data should we migrate, and then within that, what kind of tools will be available to do that.
Dima, maybe you wanna talk about this just a little bit about the migration toolkit, and what our recommendations is for how long to take it.
Yeah, sure, not a problem. So what I'll do is I'll actually paste the link in the documentation. So what we did was we wrote a migration tool, and let me just find the page. And what it entails is you're basically going to install in an ETL a script that'll identify the contents of your TSCO environment. And move it over into your BHCO environment, whether it's SaaS or on-prem. And it's going to be in 2 steps. The first step is going to be building your hierarchies and the things that fall into that hierarchy. And the second step is going to be, it's going to take a little longer. It's actually importing your data. So, and the way that it imports it 7 days at a time. So you should be able to have your latest data sooner than your oldest data.
Okay.
And for complete details, I'll just provide a link for the key considerations for the migration.
Perfect.
Thank you, Dima. And I'll add that to the blog post as well, so everyone else has got that. Thanks.
Yep. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Samantha, I just got dropped off. Actually, maybe we also can share the link of the webinar that I did sometime back, the migration webinar.
I was actually going to say, I will share that link, but if you want to put it into the chat where it's got answered with the question, or I can follow it up in the blog post if you want to pop that into our internal dialogue. I can share that with William as well, whatever's easiest.
So
we've got a couple.
He just put it in the chat.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, we've had
sorry, Sam.
No, go for it.
Yeah, just Bill, this is your own front. Just as a general outline, the migration is something that we partner up with you to do, right? So as you know, we've had this conversation, I think, in the past, you and I. When we go for it, we plan it together, we work on it together, we kind of follow you through the planning process, and you'll have all the visibility into what you're going to look at going forward with the migration. So I know that looking at it right now, it may look like there's some missing information, and I know that Dima and Baufak and Mahesh are there, but these are the same people who are going to be helping you in the planning process and then looking at what the process is going to look like.
Yeah, and thank you. And I have full confidence in that. So appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yep. And nothing's going to happen fast over here. You guys know that. So
yeah,
good deal. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks, Bill.
Thanks. Do you have any other general questions, Bill, before we wrap? We've got 5 minutes left. Was there anything else you wanted answered?
Oh, what's the answer to life and everything?
42.
Exactly.
That's an easy one, Bill.
It is.
Enjoy when you can, suffer when you must.
Yeah.
Everything else is commentary.
Oh yeah, we get this. So what's our certified capacity?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean? Well, you never mind. 42. That's what it is.
42. Always the answer is always the same.
Yeah. Very good. All right. Thanks, you guys.
Excellent.
I appreciate your help.
So William, as Samantha said, all the additional information will be in the blog, but I just posted 3 links for you in the answer in the Q&A section.
Okay, awesome. Yes, thank you.
Thanks, Baufak, and we'll share it to everyone. So if everyone's not seeing all the answers and the responses, I take them together. It might take me a day or two to get it out, but everyone that's joined today will get a thank you email, and in there we'll have, as mentioned, the recording, the links to everything that's been recommended today, and then I will capture all of the Q&A and put it into a blog post that will also be posted to our webinar page as well. And it just leaves me with saying, you know, thank you to the panelists today. I think they're getting fed up with me asking them to join meetings, but it's much better to have collaborative sessions like this with our customers. It's very difficult often to do one-to-one ratio sessions, but hopefully, as Yaron's saying, we know a lot of customers are going to be doing migration paths. There'll be a lot more follow-up content. Dima works very closely with me and Mahesh and the wider team to get the content out. So if there is anything that you're struggling with or want some help and it makes a good webinar topic or a session, then please reach out to me directly. And yeah, keep an eye out on the webinar page for any other future sessions that are going to be run. And thank you for everyone that's attended today and taken the time out to join this session, and hopefully see you all again soon. And thank you to my panelists. Have a good day,
Goodbye,
everyone.
everyone. Have a good day.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Goodbye, everybody.